Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but it is very rainy out today, and I thought we could have like a little cozy, just like, I don't know, fun little like hang out with me video while I talk to you about regression block and some tips I have on how to deal with it. If you don't know regression block, well, first of all, if you don't know what age regression is, you probably do if you're watching this video, but I have a video about that, so watch that first. And then regression block is sort of essentially where you can't regress, where you're trying to regress, you need to regress, and your brain, I'm talking like therapeutically, voluntarily, and your brain just kind of isn't letting you do it. So yeah, it sucks, and it can, be like a one-time thing, like one day you're just having regression block, or you could be in it for weeks, months, years. I personally have never dealt with like a super long period, just because a lot of my regression is involuntary and symptomatic, and I have just, through therapy and like through so much like time, because I've been regressing voluntarily since I was 15, like I'm good at now harnessing my sort of symptomatic and involuntary regression so I can like turn it into like a therapeutic thing easily. But that is not the case for everyone, and that's totally normal. And like, if you're lucky enough to like sort of not really have like a negative symptomatic regression, which I think everyone kind of who experiences regression at all does experience that, but if your regression is sort of like purely a voluntary thing that you put yourself into, then I feel like you're particularly maybe susceptible to regression block. But anyways, no matter how you regress, when you regress, what age you regress to, what your regression looks like, it's all valid and it's all good as long as it feels healthy and productive. But regression block sucks. All that to say, regression block sucks. And that's why I'm coming to you today from my PJs, from the therapy room, to talk to you about it. So number one, I think it is important to sort of like journal or meditate or just sort of like brainstorm about what you feel like is in your way. Like some of these things might include, like, of course, external life stressors, mental or physical health struggles, like feeling shame or like the inability to like relax into your headspace. Of course, dealing with all of those like individual things like need to be addressed and dealt with sort of first, or like hand in hand with the regression block. I do actually have a video on my channel about how to deal with shame if that is something that you're struggling with. And I'm working right now on a video about regression and chronic illness, and of course regression and post-traumatic stress disorder / like mental health. So those are things that, like, I mean, obviously I'm not a therapist, but I would love, like, if there is anything I can ever share to like sort of be like a mental health resource or like a regression resource, I would really like love to do that and like use my platform to talk about my experience and stuff. So those are all things that I will make videos about that maybe could like kind of go hand in hand with this one, but that's like obviously a topic for another day. But anyways, first off though, when you're dealing with regression block, try and be patient with yourself. Although regression of course can be such like a lighthearted, freeing experience at times, it does take a lot of vulnerability and sometimes a lot of like mental work for your brain to sort of get there, and it can be hard to voluntarily regress when you have a lot of other stuff going on that's like taking up your brain's energy. So I feel like I kind of already touched on this, but I think it's normal and okay to not always be able to regress. But regardless, like, your regression is a part of you and always will be, and it will always be there, and you'll always be able to harness it again, even if it takes a while. Also, I think it's important to note that even if you can't regress like in the moment, or you're just going through a block, that doesn't mean that you can't use the tools that you learned through harnessing your regression for healing. Like, all of those other things that like went along with your regression are still there for you. Like, you can still heal your inner child, you can still play, you can still engage in childlike interests and activities even without being regressed. Of course, like, the experience might not be exactly the same, but all of those things like are still accessible. Also, self-love during a regression block is so important. So it can be hard, but like try not to compare yourself and your regression journey to that of others, and try not to be hard on yourself either, because you don't deserve that and it's not gonna make anything like easier in the long run. I feel like what's been helpful for me during regression blocks is to start small, and again, really try hard not to put any pressure on yourself. Like, try and go into things without having an expectation. Like, sort of say to yourself, like, I might not be able to regress, and that's okay, but I'm still gonna try to enjoy this activity. Anyways, like I said, start small. Maybe take a stuffed animal and a coloring book and curl up in bed and put your favorite show on and just color for a while. Just see how it feels to like engage with those things and do those activities without like being regressed, and just like see if you can just like kind of like not turn off your thoughts, because obviously that's not possible, but just try to like relax into what you're doing and just be like, I'm just gonna color for the sake of coloring. I'm just gonna cuddle with this stuffed animal because like they deserve cuddles and you deserve cuddles and they're soft and nice. Also, another thing that's helped me in the past is daydreaming about regressing. So like before falling asleep, I'll like run through in my head like what my dream regression day would be, like if I had nothing going on and it was just like me and my caregiver, like how we would spend like my ideal day. And if daydreaming, like, I don't know, feels weird to you, you can like journal about that. Basically, like, try and think about the things you love about regression and healing, and try and bring some like positive associations back in. If daydreaming and journaling also is something you struggle with, like even creating like a mood board or a Pinterest board can be like helpful in like kind of the same way. Basically, like, at least for me, like healthy escapism sort of, and like setting the vibe can be really helpful. Also, like making lists and like brainstorming things that have helped you regress in the past, things that just generally make you feel small. You could even do sort of like a little like free association, like about like your favorite like regression memories or something, and just try to have like a positive association with regression again, as opposed to like frustration and like anxiety around it. And my last tip, or really rather just like thing that I do that I'm just like hoping will maybe help someone else, is what I call regression projection, or just like healing projection, which I've talked about like a whole bunch like on this channel and on Patreon and stuff. But that's basically where I'll like pick a doll or a stuffed animal and I'll like project like my like need for healing and like my like specific situation or whatever like onto them, and then I'll care for them how like I want to be cared for, or I'll treat them like the way I wish that I was being treated. Like basically like baby them, and then in a weird way, like at least for me, it's literally like they sort of like become, in a way, like my love for them like becomes like an extension of myself or my inner child, and it's like a way of like regressing by proxy almost. That might sound super weird and like totally not work for anyone, but that's something that I do. Like I'll do it a lot with like, for example, like this is a baby, okay, and I'll be like, you know, like you know, like oh, and just like baby her, and then you can kind of like project, like look at that face, like that's you. Or baby dolls. I really like dolls for that reason too. So yeah, I really hope this was helpful. If not, I know that a lot of my advice can be like maybe too specific, because it's really, I'm trying to pull from my personal experience, especially because like I said, like I'm not a licensed clinician, so I really want to only be speaking to things that I have experience with and stuff, or like have done a good amount of research on. But I hope that this was helpful. As always, if you have other suggestions for advice videos, please let me know in the comments, or DM me if you don't feel comfortable commenting. I really want to make things accessible for everyone. And also, if you want sort of like more of my full-length content that's sort of like more lighthearted and more personal, like vlogs, like interactive playdate with me's, unboxings, really in-depth tours of like my space and my things, and like kind of getting to know maybe like me more, and like just like more personal and more fun and like more full length. I do all of that over on Patreon because that's what I feel most comfortable with. So we also have a fun little community over there, and I am doing like like POV playdates, so like interacting with you kind of through the camera, and I don't know if that would help with a regression vlog, but you can see. But yeah, obviously all that stuff is like way more vulnerable for me as a creator, especially because of like the subject matter and the stuff surrounding my personal regression, so that's just what makes me feel comfortable. I wish I could like feel more confident about it and stuff, but I have gotten an insane lot of hate on the internet, and I have also been on Fox News and stuff against my will, so it's just sort of a way for me to like protect my peace a little bit. But I still hope that I can be a resource and be helpful, and that these videos are good. Whatever. I clearly, one of my things is like needing reassurance, so pardon all that, fast forward. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video was helpful, and as always, I love you, and I will see you in the next one.